Nick's garage, the little shop just north of Montreal where Nick builds dreams for his customers. Come on in, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready for an update on the Black Diamond.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Robert.
And welcome to our shop. You know, I gotta tell you guys a story on this car here. It came a few years ago. It is a 1970 Dodge Charger 440 RT model. And it was brought here from Stéphane from Gatineau, Quebec. And he's bought the car from Southern USA. This car, when he brought it in a few years ago, was a real basket case, or should I say, real rough. So I kept telling him, you know, Stéphane, maybe you could just don't do this project and buy one turnkey. But no, he wanted this one because he went through hell to get this car over here. Yeah. And of course, that's his story. He got it here and now he wants to get a finished product. So we got it, came here. Yes, it was much more rougher than we thought. Then we stripped it, whatever, it was a few pieces because it was already half stripped when it got here. And then we finally found a body shop. They took up on the job. They had it for what? 2.5 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. You know, we replaced a few panels on it, or should I say quite a few panels. And finally, a few weeks ago, it arrived in our shop. So Manny, myself, and Robert have started working on it. We've installed a few pieces, and we just want to go through the car and show you guys what we've done so far in the past 4 or 5 weeks.
I think the last time you guys saw it, it only had the engine in and the fuel line, maybe the leaf spring and the Dana.
So, you know, we're going to go through it right now. We'll show you guys a few little details. What does it take to put a car from a rotisserie back on the wheels? So let's start from the back. When we first got the car here, it was on 4 trolley wheels. We had the car put on the lift. Robert, remember when you removed the trolley wheels?
I remember.
And we started by putting the leaf springs on.
Yeah.
Then the fuel lines going to the front.
Because Nick kept saying we need to put weight in the back, we need to put weight in the back because the engine was coming in.
Yeah, so we had to counterbalance the car. So that's why I needed the leaf springs in place. And of course, like you said, you have to put the fuel lines before you put the leaf springs, right?
It's much easier, yes.
So we did that. Then of course, then we were planning to put the engine in the car. We said, let's put some weight in the back. So then, of course, Stéphane bought a Dana 60 for it. He brought it here and we had to do some work on it. So we also had it installed. And of course, we also replaced the wheel cylinders in the back, brake shoes, adjusters, and all behind the drum. And then we installed the brake lines, the rear brake hose, the rear shock absorbers, the U-bolts, shackle plates, the brake lines, and the drive shaft.
And the cables, the rear cables for emergency brake?
The foot brake cables were installed also. And then we had to install the gas tank. But then that came a little bit after we installed the engine. But since we're back here, let me tell you the details on this. Here's the gas tank straps. Then you had to get a sending unit, get the J-bolts, the filler neck, the gas cap, the padding, and put it up. And you know, just every little item has so many little pieces to it, you know, and to make it work, you want to make it correct in the first place, this is what you have to go through. But then, you know, we came to an unexpected problem when I installed the J-bolts. When I came to install the J-bolts on the front part of the tank, that we noticed that the braces for the J-bolts were not there. That's because George, who did the job on this car, and Costa, they've done a lot of Mustangs, not too many Chargers at all. But I don't blame them at all because for that reason, when this car went to their shop, there was no trunk floor pan whatsoever.
It was completely gone.
It was completely gone, and that's where the braces are. And that doesn't matter, it was no big deal. So we finally, after a few locations we checked, nobody had them in stock.
No.
We found it in one location. We bought the braces, had them welded up right here in front of on top of the J-bolts, wherever they are up here.
Yeah.
There they are.
Right, this section here, where the J-bolt is hooked up to. So that section here needed to be installed in order to support the fuel tank.
So once we've located where they go exactly, we had them welded, painted black, installed the J-bolts, put on the gas tank straps, and voila, we got them done.
Thanks to Dan.
Thanks to Dan. Dan is a very, when it comes to welding, he sure knows how to work. And just to let you guys know, installing the foot brake cables. Stefano wanted frame connectors installed on the car, which are not factory. And of course, to do the job correctly, we ran the cable through the frame connector from one side here to the other side and right to the front of the car. We didn't want nothing hanging under the frame connector because that's not the way it should be.
It's the natural place of the cable, and it does a much better job like this than it will look sloppy if it's on.
It is, yeah. So we drilled through the frame connector and put it through, and it works like a champ. And speaking of the frame rails, you know, we had to put the fuel lines through the body, but from the factory, these cars do not come with frame connectors, which are these beams that come right across from the front subframe to the rear subframe, or should I say to the frame rails. And then if you take a good look here, we got a 3/8 fuel line, 1/4 inch return. We have to cut them so we can pass them through the frame connector and then continue to the front to the fuel pump.
They go through the connector here.
Yeah, you see it?
And then through the factory cross member up to
and
the
up front. See it? Goes right up to the front, up to the fuel pump. Then we had an issue with the yoke. We had the wrong yoke.
Yeah.
Then we had to find U-bolts, get a U-joint. And of course, this car came from the factory with an 8 3/4 rear end. We went to a Dana 60. We had to cut the drive shaft. It had to be shorter for the Dana because the Dana is a much longer length it's a bigger differential, in other words. So we had to cut 15/16 off the drive shaft to make it fit. That's another job.
And the reason for that is the car was an automatic car when it was born.
Yes.
And Stéphane wanted to turn it into a 4-speed. And when you have a 4-speed with a 440, you should have the Dana.
That's right. That's the way they came. This is a U-code car. It did come with a 440 from the factory, and it is a U-code matching number engine to it. And because it came, of course, the 8 3/4 was the basic differential for the 440. But going to a 4-speed from Chrysler, they came with the Dana 60. That's what Stéphane wanted. That's what he brought us. That's what we installed. And here it is now. No more being an automatic. We have the 4-speed up in place. Took us a while. We had to, before we even had the transmission in place, we just temporarily dropped in the engine much earlier. We had the cam member installed and just dropped on the engine. Then after that, after the cam member was in place with the engine, there was a lot of pieces to install: the suspension, steering, and the front brakes. And another conversion we did, we went from drum brakes to disc brake. It's not a 4-piston caliper like it should be from the factory. Those are very rare. And did they work that great, Robert? What do you think?
What I heard is after a while, the pistons are not working equally and it pulls to one side. Sometimes they attempt to seize, jamming the brakes, you know.
So we converted from a simple 1-piston caliper.
Floating caliper.
Floating caliper, 1 piston, and it's going to do the job. And there was a lot of work involved here. Then there was a steering box we installed.
Stéphane is not going for a Concours Resto anyway.
No, he just wanted a nice, clean car and of course to be safe and to be strong, you know. He wants to make sure when he pops the clutch that everything goes well.
You turn yours into disc brake and I turned mine into disc brake.
Yes,
so.
yes, you turn. Yes, most of these cars came from the factory with drum brakes in the front, RT or not RT, whatever. And it was an option to put disc brakes, and a lot of guys didn't go with that option. I don't know why. I've done a few challenges in my life. Apparently, every challenger I had, except for one, had drum brakes.
Wow.
I had like 5 of them. 1 of them was disc, 4 of them were all drums. Just like in this package, just like in your case.
Yeah. The nice thing is when you have drum brakes all around, you have 11 inches in the back.
Yes.
So now you have disc plus 11 inches at the back, which does...
Yeah, but in this one here, we changed it. We went to the 10-inch.
Okay.
The 8 3/4 had the 11-inch, so we didn't use them. So here we got the starter installed, the proportioning valve, and of course, conversion to a 4-speed, the torque shaft with the linkage to fork, and so forth, all installed with the transmission.
In order to do that, we needed to weld the bracket to the frame.
Yes, right on top here is
to support the torque shaft.
That's right up here.
So that was done before. Here. That was done before the car was
painted. Yes, this we had to install it, but it does not come from the factory because it was an automatic car. So we had that piece welded on also for the torque shaft.
Yeah.
And of course, we installed one of the last pieces for the clutch setup. we installed the cover,
Yeah.
and before you know it, one of the bolts broke inside.
Yeah.
Just another job again. Anyways, no big deal. We'll take off the cover, drill it out, get another screw or bolt, get it done. Like I said, you know, we go through a lot of pieces. It's countless how many pieces are just in the front end attached to the cam member. It's too many, way too many.
And if some of you notice that the shifter linkages is not there, it's because we're waiting for the headliner to be in, so we don't want the shifter to be in Ivan's way. So
right.
We'll do it after.
There's a lot of work. We have to hook up the wiring for the backup light switch. We also have to get the correct speedometer gear because we don't know the height of the wheel yet. We know the ratio of the differential, which is a 354 ratio. So we're gonna wait on that until we get the wheels and tires. We did the torsion bars, we did steering, cam member, sway bar, disc brakes. God, there's so many pieces. Yes, if you guys are looking at these wheels, do not belong to the car. They're just on the car temporarily, just to make the car movable because we don't have the set of wheels or tires yet, which would be the last thing to be done. You know, you go to car shows, Robert, you've been to a lot of them anyways.
Yeah.
It's too bad that you do all the detail underneath, and then when you drive it to any car show, you don't pick it up on the lift to show the people the underneath work.
That's
it's just,
right.
It's just parked there. The only time you get a chance to see it is when the car is up on the lift like here, or like my car right here. Anyways, but most of the work is done underneath anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, most of it is done.
We've even put 25 gallons of fuel in it already. The reason why is because we're trying to put some weight into the car because there's a lot of weight in the front end. We've got some scrap cylinder head sitting in the trunk because we want to make sure that the car doesn't flip over. Like I said, to a lot of viewers in the past, or a lot of guys that work on cars, that this is my way when I put a car on the lift and you don't have a differential or an engine, you got a bare body. So when you start adding weight from one end to the other, you got to balance the car. And don't forget, or like some people do, is they tie down the car on the lift, which is the safest way to do it. Okay, so we're gonna lower the car. I just want to say that Manny and Robert put countless hours on the front grille and bumper. Let me tell you, we spent a few days on it, a few nights, and then once it was assembled on the bench, then when the car came in, then we had to assemble the whole bumper and grille on the car. And then again, it didn't line up perfect either. Then again, of course, we went through off and on, and finally we got it installed. And of course, it's working perfectly. So now that we've lowered the car, we're going to show you what we've done inside the engine bay. Mm-hmm. And Robert, you spent countless hours on the front grille, the bumper, then hooking it up.
I don't want to take all the credit. Manny was involved, and so being a reproduction bumper and a reproduction grille, it was hard to marry them together. It was, try this, try that. Okay, slot here, slot there. It was a lot of work. How many hours you think?
Between you and Manny and on and off, and a few hours with myself, quite a few. But the best part is, it's finally done. It's in there, it works, it's lined up, and it's straight. Then, after we installed the engine, there was all this surroundings, all this work that you put into it there, Robert. If you want to go through details, especially with the AC, which is not factory to this car. This car did come from the factory with AC, but this time, because none of the parts were here, we don't want to work with old stuff. Robert and I decided to go with modern aftermarket air conditioning, which your expertise on this, and you've had the whole thing installed. And of course, if you want to give the details to our viewers, tell them what it takes to put it in.
Okay, well first, as you all know, we waited for the car a long time, so we decided to install the compressor and all the brackets, the kit, onto the motor while the motor was on the stand, which is much easier than do it in the car. So we had the chance to do that. I know if you guys are going to install an AC car, you're not going to pull the engine out to do so, but we took the opportunity to do so. So after that, we installed the AC heater box into the car, and then we run the lines.
And there's quite a few lines.
Quite a few lines.
I noticed there's so many electrical connections.
Yeah, and you had to modify the hub to
Yes, we had to custom make the spacer between the clutch and the water pump so I could get it to fit without the blades touching the compressor.
It's very tight, but
It comes close, but it doesn't touch.
But the thing, you cannot go too far because you're gonna hit the rad.
Yes.
So you have to find the right spot.
Oh yes. You know, everything has to be perfect. You know, you want to make sure the moment we started that everything's. You want to make sure it works perfect. We look for no leaks, no noises, and of course, you want to make sure it starts if we have no issues whatsoever. We still have a lot of more things to do. We still have to install the battery tray. You want to install the battery,
Yeah.
the tie down. We still have a complete exhaust system to put on the car, which we're going to leave for later on, because we want to focus on the interior.
Yeah, the first thing now is to install the headliner, which is gonna be in a couple of days. After the headliner is in, the next thing to go in will be the dash and the steering column, making the connection, and we're gonna try to start it up.
And I remember that dash that you took home to restore for the Charger. I remember taking it out. It was a rat's or mice nest. It was ridiculous. I don't know how you did it at home, Robert.
I spent many hours on it, and we put a few new parts to it. The new dash pad, the fascia for the cluster.
Yes.
They're all new, and they look nice. They
Very
really
nice.
look nice. And I tested everything. I tested your favorite part, the lighter plug.
Yes, yes. You know, and I tell people, you said about the lighter, and I'll say it again, and I've said it in the past videos, that maybe you're not a smoker, but today's phones you need a charger, and it works off a 12-volt lighter plug. And of course, every car we build, Robert and I, and of course Manny, we make sure that lighter works, even though you're a smoker. And of course, we check the lighter.
Yeah.
It has to light up in case you are a smoker.
It's been discussed before. We decided to extend the plug for the ECU.
Yes.
So we're gonna hide the ECU under the battery tray instead of putting it on the far wall.
Because the 1970 ECU didn't exist on these cars, and we don't want to put it there. We want to have the original look. So, of course, we're going to put it underneath the battery tray, just like my Kawasaki Challenger. And a lot of people are going to say, you worry about this little detail then, but you have a different compressor. But it doesn't matter. It's a little technicalities.
Well, but then again, Stefan is not going for concourse, and the AC was not available with a 6-pack anyway.
That's right.
But it is not a 6-pack car. This is another of the modification we did to the car. That was a 4-barrel car, but Stefan wanted a 6-pack. So
you wanted a 6-pack. We went with that too.
And Classic Autorare happened to make the kit that fits with a 6-pack,
and which is very, very good. And I also wanted to say to our viewers that a lot of these items, for example, the engine was done way back. The cluster, the dash that you've done. So that's why we've got advanced on the car. The radiator was already recorded. The frame connectors on the frame brackets on the radiator, the core, it's all been done. Yeah. The engine was built. The transmission was built before.
All the suspension parts were ready. The K-member was painted.
That is correct. We had a lot of things ready. And now the only thing is we have a lot of interior pieces ready. We have the carpet ready. We got the trim ready. We got the dash ready, the steering column. And of course, you spend a lot of time with Manny putting in the door glass, quarter panel glass, vent glass. So 6 pieces of glass here that we spend quite some time on it.
Yeah,
Not only that, if you want to say about that, you also installed the 2 mirrors and
the top moldings here.
The top moldings. And if George takes show our viewers that the pedals have to be converted to a 4-speed, and of course the AC box, AC unit right over here. And once you put in the dash, you don't see this heater box or the pedals anymore. And it's all here. Robert did a great job on this, let me tell you.
Thank you. We cannot install them, even if you don't see it, you have to clean them up and make them look good before you install. And make sure they work well too.
Of course.
So you don't want a sticky pedal, and so you have to do everything right.
And even the wiper pivots. I remember when we had it removed, they were jammed. They wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So Manny took them apart and fixed them, and now they work. Robert, you also installed the harness for the headlights today, or was it the other day?
Yeah, it was the 2 days ago, I think.
Yeah.
But we made some tests making sure the lights are working, and they are. So we're on the right track. Yeah.
You know, the carburetors are being rebuilt by Don Oak in Cortes, Ontario. We had the wiper motor restored. Look at all the detail in there. Is that something or what?
Yeah, it's
And
a nice
you
piece.
you have to have a 3-speed wiper motor if you're gonna have a 6-pack or a Hemi.
Yeah.
It won't work with a 2-speed wiper motor. For those
If you
viewers
have
that
an oval air cleaner, you need the variable wiper or 3-speed, whatever you want to call it.
And here it is. This is the base plate for a 6-pack. Oval air cleaner. There it is. And see, it's not touching any hoses
No,
or anything.
it's very close, but it's not touching.
You know,
but they move together anyway.
You know, after putting so much, you know, especially with the AC aftermarket, so many little items, you got to make sure that when the engine idles, it, you know, shakes a little bit, that you want to make sure nothing wears out after a few miles. And we also installed a polyurethane motor mount on this side of the engine because, you know, it's a 4-speed car. You know you're going to pump the clutch a few times. It's a lot better than the one that's a stock original rubber. So the polyurethane mount is installed there also. Then, you know, we had the nameplates to install because once you replace the roof panel, there's no holes for the Charger nameplate to be installed on the rear pillar.
And they're not stick-on.
And they're not stick-ons. You got to drill holes, one over there, one over here, to install it. So Manny and Robert spent some time on this today. Of course, they did measurements to perfect it because, you know, we also have the nuts that hold them from inside. So before you install the headliner, we had to do this before I even installed the headliner. There's there's a lot of work involved. You know, we also had the rear bumper installed, but we're gonna remove it again because we're gonna install the bumperettes.
Yeah, we didn't have them, so.
We didn't have them. Now we have the bumperettes. We're gonna do that. We also have the rear finish panel. We got the RT emblem, but not the Charger emblem. So the Charger emblem will be coming in the future because we have to install the 2 nameplates
into
on
the panel.
The finish panel and then install. Like we said earlier, we have a lot of these pieces done way before the car came to our shop.
Manny and I are not working here full time, but we bring a lot of stuff home to prepare them.
Yes.
And it pays off now.
Yeah. There's a lot of little pieces. You know, he wants it nice, he wants it black, that's what he wants. And
yeah, because it was a green car at the
green
with a green interior. So most of the interior is going to be new.
That's right.
He bought new panels, new door panels, new carpet, new
all in black.
All in black.
Seat covers, carpet.
Yeah.
And we got the dash pad also. That's it's a lot of conversions we've done. That's another thing we never said. We're converting to a different color inside the car.
It was a vinyl roof car, no vinyl.
Oh yes, the vinyl roof was removed also.
Must have been a weird combo. It was, if I remember correctly, it was green with a white vinyl top.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think the fender tag says V1W, and W stands for white. E86, which means 440 Magnum 4-barrel. EF8, which stands for the dark green color, and then on top of it, this is your lower body and upper body. So if you had no vinyl roof, there would be 2 identical codes. But lower was EF8 for green, and the upper was V1W, and W stands for white. So it was green with a white top.
That's odd.
That's odd.
You know, we haven't installed the master cylinder yet because we want to put the steering column in first to attach the collar, and then we install the master cylinder. We still have to do the, or should I say, we have to bleed the brakes. We're going to use .5 brake fluid because .3 brake fluid, if you have any leaks anywhere, wherever it leaks on paint, it removes the paint, just to let you guys know. You use a .4, .5 brake fluid, silicone style.
Oh yeah,
it's the way to go, especially when you do a full restoration.
And these are the rear bumper guards we were looking for. We finally got them, so we're gonna take the bumper off. It's not a big deal.
So there you have it, you guys. We have the update on the 1970 Dodge Charger that belongs to Stefan, which we call the Black Diamond. We're gonna still have to put the hood on, the trunk lid, and of course the interior.
The front valance.
The front valance. Still a few pieces, but they're not here now. They're still somewhere else in the body shop. But when they come here, we'll get to it. And then, for me, the magic touch is gonna be the red stripe, the bumblebee stripe in the back. That's gonna be beautiful.
That will be nice. Yeah.
That would be nice.
Nick and his team have done a lot of work to bring the Black Diamond Charger back from the edge. One step at a time, this classic muscle car is coming back to life. Today, Nick's friend and upholstery expert, Ivan, has come to install the headliner in the car. But before the fabric can go in, dozens of old, fragile pieces of hardware have to be in place. Each of these had to be repaired, refinished, and restored in order to make them all work in concert. The headliner comes in a kit, but installation is far from simple. It's like trying to make a custom-fitted suit for a 3,800-pound client made of steel, all while lying on your back. Ivan has all the tools and tricks of the trade that he's accumulated over decades of experience, and he won't stop until every wrinkle has been smoothed and every seam is tight. Like the rest of Nick's team, Ivan knows that only perfection will be good enough. Make sure you're subscribed to Nick's Garage so you can catch all the action as Nick and the team bring this classic piece of muscle car history back to life. In the next episode, Robert will unveil his beautifully restored dashboard and instrument cluster. And if everything goes according to plan, Stefan's dream car will fire up once again.
Okay.
And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.